Hey guys, Matt Wonka here with another episode of RPG Discussion. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about rituals in Dungeons & Dragons. Rituals are supposed to be these big, powerful spells. These are the type of spells that allow you to drain oceans, move mountains, resurrect ancient gods, big, gigantic spells. You can also use them for smaller things, such as enchanting magical items or raising your friends from the dead, which is occasionally useful in a lot of D&D campaigns. And these spells are intended to be used outside of combat, or a lot of them are. But in 4th edition, that doesn't feel as satisfying. Because there's a lot of the spells where you ought to be able to use some of them in combat. Like being able to use the Arcana Knock spell to be able to open a door is something that is useless to have when you need to do it inside of combat. But if you're outside of the combat, you might as well just keep trying and rolling. No need to waste the spell. And so, what I'm going to try and do today is talk a little bit about how you can fix rituals in 4th edition and make them better used, better respected, and a little bit more powerful, and a lot more fun. So the first thing that our group did to try and fix rituals is we implemented this healing surge rule, where you could spend a healing surge and knock, I think it was 10 minutes off of a ritual casting time. And if this dropped it down to 0, then it was a standard action to just cast. And that was pretty good for my Rasputin character, because I had all the healing surges that I wasn't using. And it let me do a little bit inside of combat. It still limited me a bit, though. And so it felt more like a temporary fix than anything else. That just let me use rituals in combat. It didn't really fix the actual rituals themselves. And while I was doing the research on this, I found an interesting website. Links down below to the pages that matter. It's a wiki that does a lot about homebrewing, and one of the things that they homebrewed for 4th edition were rituals, and so they have a lot of really, really intriguing things there that I think we're going to start using in our game. One of the things that I find exciting about this website is it's got a way to use rituals inside of combat. You take the ritual's casting time, and that determines how hard of a skill challenge it is to do inside of combat. And so, for example, a really, really short casting spell that should only take you 5 minutes outside of combat, you can do with a level 2 skill challenge, which I believe is 4 successes before 2 failures. And so your wizard gets to be spending his turn casting, and then he can, suddenly knock. And other characters can partake in that ritual, and a lot of it becomes the DM's discretion as to what skills are useful in that skill challenge and who exactly can help. Another fun thing that they do on this website is they have lists of a bunch of homebrewed rituals, and a lot of them are really, really fun and are some pretty good campaign fodder for fun rituals that need to be cast on the party or with the party's consent to allow them to accomplish their goals a little bit better. So I highly recommend checking out that site. Again, the links are in the description down below. One of the other things that I think of when I think about rituals is how Vancian magic works. Now, Vancian magic, for those of you who don't know, is named after Jack Vance, a character in a book series that Gary Gygax liked. And it's where he came up with the idea that spells leave your mind when you cast them, and you have to study them again in the next evening. And a lot of people of a newer D&D generation don't like this concept, because it means that you can't, you're not as dynamic as to what you're going to do, and it just doesn't make sense that you're losing spells. You should know these things. And I proposed to my friend Paul a fix to that Vancian magic system that makes it work logically, and it also makes an interesting universe. Basically, instead of having a difference between rituals and spells, all spells are rituals. You can cast every single spell as a ritual, and in fact, they're intended to be cast like that. Magic Missile should have a casting time of not, instantaneous, but rather a couple of minutes to be able to get the arcane forces working and conjure a ball of force and go. And if all spells take time and take a ritual to cast, you get something very interesting. First off, your spell slots aren't just, hey, you get to use your spell slots not as, oh, these are the spells I can learn, but if you look at it where the higher level spells take longer to cast, this is a spell that you have at the ready. you precast these rituals in your study and encapsulate that spell in a tome or in your orb or in your staff or in your magic wand or in yourself, depending on whatever. And so these spells are already cast and they're ready to go. And that's why they disappear, because you use it up. You use up that preparation. And there's like a little bit of world tweaking that you need to do and come up with some, a little bit of ridiculous rules, or not, that's up to you, to make sure that your wizard doesn't, stockpile 1,000 magic missile spells into his staff and then just keeps casting it. Or, conversely wise, maybe he does. Maybe that's where magic wands come from. In 4th edition, magic wands aren't anything impressive. Yeah, you get an encounter power out of the wand, and it's an at-will, whoop-de-doo. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. In previous editions, it didn't count as a spell slot if you had a spell stored in your wand, as I understand it. And being able to just wave your wand and cast a spell is pretty powerful. And it's actually a type of loot that I'm thinking of handing out. Of course, magic worked a little bit differently in earlier editions of the game, and so that's going to make it difficult to include 4th edition wands as a decent source of treasure. But I'm still figuring that out, and that's one of the things that I'm going to have to work on a little bit more. Another thing that's broken in 4th edition is potions. Just like it's very hard and very stupid to make a character who's based around rituals, it's also difficult and stupid to make a character who's based around alchemy, because the potions don't level and the bonuses aren't really worth getting. But my friend Paul is working on a solution to that, and he's buffing a lot of potions and making them really, really awesome. And I think that's something that's kind of missing from the 4th edition potions, is that there's no way to really make it awesome. And there should be, because potions can do a really cool thing, and he's got this really, really fun Warforged who plays around with potions a lot. But I think that's it for my discussion today. Thank you guys for, listening to me ramble on about this. If you have any questions about rituals or awesome ritual idea of your own, please leave those down in the comments below. Other than that, my name is MadMat1Cat. This has been RPG Discussion, and you guys stay online. I'll see you next time. Peace out.